This is Tanner Morris presenting NVCC, Issues and Solutions for Organizational Behavioral Theory at Ottawa University. North Valley Construction, or NVCC, began nearly 40 years ago as rainbow painting. It was the dream of one man with 3 paintbrushes and a Pinto. That's his words. Now, 40 years later, we do everything: tile, plumbing, painting, air conditioning, roofing, flooring, drywall, framing, even concrete. We try to avoid landscaping because half the crew is over 50, including the owner. But we do that too. That's part of our strong suit, actually, is that we get to save the customer money by not making them have to call some second contractor to do a job that we can't do, because we do everything. Now, 40 years doesn't happen by accident, so clearly there's elements going on that contribute to the success of the company. But that doesn't mean that there wasn't room for bad habits to form. Maybe one time a problem came up, and the owner figured out a solution to it and automatically did the same thing the next time the problem came up. Maybe in 40 years there's a better solution to that kind of problem. Bad habits don't need to be permanent. They can be improved. So let's take a look at that and some solutions. But first, let's go over what's going right at NVCC. In the mornings, we have a little morale boost. For the first 15 minutes or so, instead of working or gathering tools or chit-chatting, we watch the monologue from the night before. Stephen Colbert, maybe Kimmel, sometimes Fallon. Lately, Fallon's kind of fizzled out because it's so hard to forget Leno, and, well, Fallon's not as good. Colbert is usually the favorite. He's quite funny. Laughing together as a crew improves morale and productivity and efficiency for the rest of the day. In fact, studies show that we could get more done in 7 hours and 45 minutes with that monologue in ours than we could get done in 8 hours with no happy laughing time. So that's something that's going very right. Morale is also boosted at lunch. We have 3 kinds of lunches that I've identified over the years. You have the $10 lunch, the $12 lunch, and the $15 lunch. A $10 lunch is going to be any generic fast food, McDonald's, Burger King, and the like. We sit, we eat together, we laugh together as a crew, we recharge our batteries for the afternoon, and attack our work with renewed vigor. $12 lunches are a little nicer. Think maybe Chipotle, possibly Five Guys, or even Subway is an option. Those we get about once a week. They're a little tastier. Maybe we've worked harder that day and we need to recharge a little longer. And finally, there's the $15 lunch. Think something like Red Lobster or Olive Garden, a nice sit-down place. Now, that doesn't mean that we only spend $15 per person. That's a minimum that you can get away with. And those lunches are more like you would expect a family to be eating together, because that's what we are after all this time as a family. And that's a huge boost for morale. So we try to go to a $15 lunch at least once a month, sometimes twice if we've been doing very well. Depending on where exactly we're working and what's nearby, we usually hit a $12 lunch about once a week. And the rest of the time we do those $10 lunches, get in and get out. Now, in this state, a physical laborer can expect 2 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute lunch break for a total of 1 hour. We as a company have opted to spend the entire hour as lunch every day. And we vote as a crew on where we're going to eat based on the nearby options, which usually falls to me to find those. And we go enjoy. When we've done really, really well, or a particularly hard day's work has come, the owner sometimes surprises us and buys us all lunch. That helps morale. That's something that's going right. So now let's talk about what's not going right. The payroll is in cash every day. The owner's wife has no formal training in doing so except for her role with this company, but she keeps track on an Excel sheet every day. That's stressful. Come up with $500 in cash every single day, and then you get to make money. So that needs fixed. There's also no succession plan, which is bad because once the owner retires, what do we do for work? Personally, I intend to get a career in human resources, hence my participation in this course, but what about my coworkers? What are they going to do? There's also very, very little consequence for being late, which there's the monologue in the morning, but is it being late or isn't it? It's hard to say. But there's no consequences. There's rampant no-call, no-shows. There's no formal training, which is difficult because it might be argued that training could take years given the diversity of projects we complete, but there's still some things that can be trained. The owner is massively stressed from everything to do with the job. There's no formal performance reviews. There's informal performance reviews when the owner has to maybe teach someone how to do something. He'll stop by a few hours later and see how they're doing, give them notes. That's about it. So, how do we fix it? Start with performance reviews. A formal performance review, just a few words on a piece of paper with a letter grade every year, along with the Christmas bonus, is a great way to tell an employee exactly how they're doing with the company. And that needs to be bolstered by informal reviews throughout the year. Hey, you're mixing that mud a little thick and it's drying kind of fast on me. Would you mind adding a little more water next time? Stuff like that goes a really long way. As for training, we can train for the how, if not specifically the what, due to the diversity of tasks I've mentioned. But that doesn't mean that for different jobs we're going to treat our tools differently. We still wrap all our cords, clean our work areas, things like that. The general training on how to do things around the job site safety, and things like that is absolutely appropriate. And if there was a formal program for that, that would help employees a lot. There need to be consequences for being late. There have been in the past for particularly tardy people, such as occasionally an employee will be given the whole week off for repeatedly not calling and not showing up to work. But that's not consistent. Part of the problem is that there is no talent acquisition. The pool of talent to which the owner has access is very shallow. So if he works to maybe create a job posting and know that he has options for people to hire, that allows for the possibility of making people take time off for being late or having other consequences, potentially even termination. A succession plan, pretty basic. While we're at it with talent acquisition, the owner could look into perhaps finding outside talent to lead the company when he finally retires. Or another option is to groom one of us. Personally, again, I'm pursuing a career in HR. One of my coworkers might be apt for it. I don't know, because the owners never looked into it. Finally, we need to use a payroll system. Most of the employees don't even have bank accounts, so there's no way to set up direct deposit. But it's time to make them get bank accounts, set up direct deposit, and take the stress and headaches away from the owner and his wife. Those are the problems, and those are my solutions to them for NVCC. Once again, this is Tanner Morris presenting NVCC Issues and solutions.